Have you ever felt like the universe was trying to tell you something, but you just couldn't figure out what it was saying? Maybe you've been seeing the same numbers everywhere, experiencing strange coincidences that feel too perfect to be random, or getting those powerful gut feelings that turn out to be exactly right. What if I told you that these aren't accidents at all, but rather a sophisticated communication system that most people never learn to decode? Sarah thought she was going crazy. Every morning for 3 weeks straight, she woke up at exactly 3:33 a.m. without an alarm. During her lunch breaks, her receipt totals kept ending in 333. Her favorite song came on the radio at 3:33 p.m. Then one day, scrolling through job listings at that exact time, she found the perfect position she'd been dreaming of for years. Was this just coincidence, or was something bigger at play? The truth is, the universe operates on frequencies and patterns that most people dismiss as random luck or meaningless coincidence. But those who understand the hidden language of reality know better. They recognize these signs as breadcrumbs leading them toward their highest potential, their deepest purpose, and the life they're truly meant to live. Right now, as you're watching this, the universe might already be communicating with you in ways you haven't recognized yet. And by the end of this video, you'll have the tools to not only hear these messages clearly, but to respond to them in ways that can completely transform your reality. But I need to warn you up front, this knowledge isn't for everyone. It requires you to step outside the comfortable boundaries of conventional thinking and embrace a perspective that might challenge everything you thought you knew about how life works. If you're ready for that level of transformation, keep watching, because what I'm about to share could be the key that unlocks doors you didn't even know existed. The ancient mystics called it divine guidance. Modern scientists refer to it as quantum entanglement and morphic resonance. Religious traditions speak of prayer being answered and angels sending signs. But regardless of what you call it, one thing remains constant throughout human history. There has always been a recognition that we're connected to something far greater than ourselves. And this connection operates through subtle but unmistakable signals. Think about the most successful people you know, the ones who seem to have incredible intuition about business decisions, the artists who create exactly what the world needs to hear, the inventors who break through discoveries at precisely the right moment in history. What if I told you that these individuals aren't necessarily more talented or intelligent than anyone else, but rather they've learned to tune into a frequency that provides them with guidance, inspiration, and perfect timing? The universe speaks to us through synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that seem to defy statistical probability. It communicates through our intuition, that inner knowing that speaks louder than logic. It sends messages through the people who cross our path at exactly the right moment, the books that fall off shelves in front of us, the conversations we overhear that contain exactly the information we need. But here's where most people get stuck. They notice these signs, but then immediately dismiss them as wishful thinking or coincidence. They've been conditioned by a materialistic worldview that says everything must be proven by conventional science before it can be considered real. This skepticism, while sometimes healthy, can also blind us to the very guidance system that could revolutionize our lives. What if instead of dismissing these experiences, you started paying attention to them? What if you began treating them as valuable information rather than random noise? What if you developed the ability to distinguish between meaningful signs and ordinary coincidences? The first step is understanding that the universe doesn't communicate the way humans do. It doesn't send emails or leave voicemails. Instead, it speaks through the language of energy, pattern, and resonance. It orchestrates circumstances, influences timing, and creates connections that align with your highest good, but only if you're paying attention. Let me share another story that perfectly illustrates this principle. Marcus had been struggling with his career for years, feeling stuck in a job that drained his energy and offered no growth potential. One evening, frustrated and exhausted, he decided to take a walk to clear his mind. As he passed a coffee shop, he overheard two strangers discussing a new startup company that was looking for someone with his exact skill set. Now, Marcus could have dismissed this as mere coincidence. After all, people talk about work opportunities all the time. But something about the timing felt significant. He'd been asking the universe for guidance about his career just that morning. Instead of walking past, he approached the strangers, struck up a conversation, and discovered that one of them was actually the hiring manager for the position they were discussing. 6 months later, Marcus was thriving in his dream job, earning twice his previous salary, and working with people who inspired him daily. Was this luck? Coincidence? Or was this the universe responding to his request for guidance by orchestrating exactly the right encounter at exactly the right moment? The difference between people who experience these magical synchronicities regularly and those who rarely notice them isn't luck or special gifts. It's awareness and receptivity. It's the willingness to believe that life is far more interconnected and purposeful than conventional thinking suggests. But awareness alone isn't enough. You also need to develop what I call cosmic literacy, the ability to interpret the messages you're receiving and respond to them appropriately. This means learning to distinguish between ego-driven desires and genuine spiritual guidance, between fear-based thinking and intuitive wisdom, between coincidences that are simply random and synchronicities that carry meaning. The universe typically communicates through repetition and pattern. When the same theme keeps appearing in your life through different channels, that's usually a sign worth paying attention to. When you keep meeting people who share similar insights, or when you repeatedly encounter the same type of opportunity, the universe is likely highlighting something important for your growth or next steps. Numbers are one of the most common ways the universe sends messages. Master numbers like 111, 222, 333, and so on often appear when you're in alignment with significant life transitions or spiritual growth periods. But the universe also communicates through animal encounters, unexpected encounters with specific people, recurring dreams, sudden insights during meditation or quiet moments, and even technical glitches that redirect your attention in meaningful ways. The key is learning to feel the difference between random events and meaningful messages. Synchronicities typically carry an emotional resonance that random coincidences lack. They often occur during times when you've been asking for guidance or contemplating important decisions. They frequently point you toward opportunities that align with your deepest values and long-term goals. But here's something crucial that many people miss. The universe isn't just sending you messages, it's also responding to the messages you're sending out. Your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and intentions are constantly broadcasting into the quantum field, and reality reorganizes itself to match these vibrations. This is where the science of quantum physics intersects with ancient spiritual wisdom. At the subatomic level, particles exist in states of infinite possibility until they're observed. The act of observation collapses these possibilities into specific realities. On a larger scale, your consciousness acts as the observer, constantly collapsing infinite possibilities into your lived experience, based on where you focus your attention and what you believe to be true. This means that the messages you receive from the universe are often reflections of the questions you're asking, the intentions you're setting, and the level of consciousness you're operating from. If you're constantly focused on problems and limitations, you'll receive messages that seem to confirm those perspectives. But if you elevate your consciousness to focus on possibilities and growth, the messages you receive will guide you toward expansion and fulfillment. So how do you develop this cosmic communication skills? How do you become fluent in the universe's language? First, you need to cultivate what spiritual teachers call beginner's mind. This means approaching each day with curiosity and openness rather than rigid expectations about how things should unfold. When you're attached to specific outcomes or convinced that you already know how things work, you become blind to the guidance that's constantly available to you. Second, you need to develop a regular practice of stillness and reflection. The universe's messages are often subtle, and they can easily be drowned out by the noise of modern life. Whether through meditation, prayer, journaling, or simply spending time in nature, you need to create space for these communications to reach your conscious awareness. Third, you need to start taking action on the guidance you receive, even when it doesn't make logical sense. The universe operates on a different logic than the rational mind, and sometimes the most profound opportunities come disguised as inconvenient detours or unexpected challenges. Let me share one more story that illustrates this principle perfectly. Jennifer was a successful corporate lawyer who'd been feeling increasingly unfulfilled in her career. For months, she'd been seeing advertisements for art classes everywhere she went. Bus stops, social media, even conversations with strangers seemed to circle back to creative expression. Her logical mind dismissed these as meaningless coincidences. After all, she hadn't picked up a paintbrush since high school. But the messages kept coming. One day, running late for a client meeting, she got on the wrong subway train by mistake. When she emerged from the station to get her bearings, she found herself standing directly in front of an art studio with a sign advertising beginner painting classes starting that evening. Something about the timing felt too perfect to ignore. Against her better judgment, Jennifer signed up for the class. What she discovered that evening wasn't just a hidden talent for painting, but a passion that had been dormant for decades. Within a year, she had transitioned from corporate law to art therapy, combining her analytical skills with her newfound creative gifts to help trauma survivors heal through artistic expression. Her income initially dropped significantly, but her sense of purpose and fulfillment skyrocketed. More importantly, she was now contributing to the world in a way that aligned with her deepest values and natural gifts. The universe had been guiding her toward this transformation for months, but it required her willingness to pay attention to the signs and take action even when it didn't make conventional sense. This is the paradox of cosmic communication. The guidance is always available, but it requires you to participate actively in the conversation. You can't just wait passively for signs to appear and then expect everything to magically fall into place. You need to ask clear questions, pay attention to the responses, and take inspired action based on what you receive. The process works like this. First, you get clear about what you're seeking guidance on. This might be a specific decision you need to make, a problem you're trying to solve, or simply a desire to understand your next steps in life. The clearer your question, the clearer the guidance you'll receive. Next, you enter a receptive state through meditation, prayer, or simply quiet contemplation. You ask your question, and then release attachment to receiving the answer in any particular form or time frame. This is crucial because attachment and desperation create energetic static that interferes with clear communication. Then you pay attention to what shows up in your life over the following days and weeks. Look for patterns, repetitions, and meaningful coincidences. Notice what captures your attention unexpectedly. Pay attention to sudden insights, dreams, and conversations that seem to relate to your question. Finally, and this is where most people get stuck, you need to act on the guidance you receive. even if it seems illogical or inconvenient, even if other people think you're crazy, even if it means stepping outside your comfort zone or changing course dramatically. The universe rewards those who trust its guidance by providing even clearer and more powerful signs, but it withdraws support from those who consistently ignore or dismiss the messages they receive. This isn't punishment. It's simply the natural consequence of not participating fully in the communication process. One of the most common ways people miss cosmic messages is by overthinking them. They receive clear guidance, but then spend so much time analyzing and second-guessing it that they miss the window of opportunity for action. The universe's timing is often very specific, and delays caused by excessive analysis can cause you to miss important synchronicities. Another common mistake is expecting the guidance to make sense within your current understanding of how life works. The universe often guides us toward experiences and opportunities that expand our consciousness and capabilities beyond what we previously thought possible. If the guidance always made perfect logical sense, it wouldn't be leading you toward growth and transformation. It's also important to understand that cosmic messages aren't always positive in the conventional sense. Sometimes the universe will guide you away from situations that seem attractive, but would ultimately limit your growth. Sometimes it will present challenges that, while difficult in the short term, are exactly what you need to develop strength and wisdom. The key is learning to trust the process, even when you can't see the bigger picture. The universe operates from a perspective that encompasses far more information than your individual consciousness can process. What might seem like a setback or detour from your limited viewpoint might actually be a crucial course correction from the cosmic perspective. This is why developing faith and trust is such an essential part of cosmic communication. Not blind faith that ignores common sense and practical considerations, but intelligent faith that recognizes the limits of purely rational thinking and remains open to guidance from higher intelligence. Many people struggle with this because they've been conditioned to believe that relying on anything other than logical analysis is naive or irresponsible. But the most successful and fulfilled people in history have consistently reported that their greatest achievements came not from pure logic, but from following intuitive hunches and inspired ideas that defied conventional wisdom. Think about the great inventors, artists, entrepreneurs, and visionaries throughout history. Steve Jobs talked about following his intuition even when it led him in directions that made no business sense. Einstein credited his greatest discoveries to intuitive insights rather than logical deduction. Oprah built her media empire by trusting her gut feelings about what content would resonate with audiences. These individuals weren't abandoning logic entirely, but rather integrating it with guidance from their higher consciousness and the universal intelligence that connects all things. They learned to use rational thinking as one tool among many, rather than the only legitimate source of decision-making guidance. So how do you begin developing this integrated approach to decision-making and life guidance? How do you start building a conscious relationship with the universe's communication system? Start small and build gradually. Begin by paying attention to minor coincidences and synchronicities in your daily life. Notice when you think of someone and they call or text you unexpectedly. Pay attention to repeating numbers, symbols, or themes that catch your attention. Observe the timing of unexpected encounters or opportunities. Keep a synchronicity journal where you record these experiences and look for patterns over time. You might be surprised by how many meaningful coincidences you're already experiencing once you start paying conscious attention to them. Practice asking the universe specific questions and then watching for responses over the following days. Start with low-stakes questions where you can afford to experiment. Ask for guidance on which route to take to work, which book to read next, or which restaurant to try for lunch. Pay attention to the subtle promptings you receive and notice what happens when you follow them versus when you ignore them. Develop a daily practice of stillness and receptivity. This doesn't have to be formal meditation, although that can certainly be helpful. It might be as simple as taking a few minutes each morning to set an intention for the day and ask for guidance, or spending a few minutes each evening reflecting on the synchronicities and meaningful moments you experienced. Learn to distinguish between the voice of your ego and the voice of your higher guidance. Ego-based thoughts tend to be urgent, fearful, or focused on short-term gratification. Higher guidance tends to be peaceful, patient, and focused on long-term growth and contribution to others. Most importantly, start taking action on the guidance you receive, even in small ways. The universe responds to demonstration of trust by providing clearer and more powerful guidance. The more you prove that you're willing to listen and respond, the more sophisticated and helpful the communication becomes. Remember that cosmic communication is a skill that develops over time with practice. Don't expect to become fluent overnight. Be patient with yourself as you learn to recognize and interpret the universe's unique language. Some messages will be crystal clear, while others will only make sense in retrospect. Also understand that not every coincidence is a meaningful message. Part of developing cosmic literacy is learning to distinguish between random events and genuine synchronicities. Meaningful messages typically carry emotional resonance, occur during times when you've been seeking guidance, and point toward opportunities that align with your highest good. The universe isn't trying to control your life or manipulate your decisions. Rather, it's offering information and opportunities that can help you fulfill your highest potential and contribute most effectively to the world. The choice of whether and how to respond to this guidance always remains entirely up to you. As you develop this relationship with cosmic intelligence, you may notice that your life begins to flow with greater ease and meaning. Opportunities appear at exactly the right time. The right people enter your life when you need them most. Resources become available just when you require them. This isn't magic or wishful thinking. It's the natural result of aligning your individual consciousness with the larger intelligence that orchestrates life itself. You might also discover that your intuitive abilities begin to strengthen and expand. You develop better instincts about people and situations. You become more creative and innovative in your problem solving. You experience increased synchronicity and meaningful coincidence in all areas of your life. Some people worry that relying on cosmic guidance will make them passive or irresponsible. Actually, the opposite tends to be true. When you're aligned with universal intelligence, you become more effective and purposeful in your actions, not less. You waste less energy on pursuits that don't truly serve your growth or contribution to others. You make decisions from a place of clarity and wisdom rather than confusion and fear. The universe wants you to succeed, to grow, to contribute your unique gifts to the world, and to experience the fulfillment that comes from living in alignment with your deepest purpose. Every message, every synchronicity, every moment of guidance is ultimately pointing you toward this fulfillment. But it requires your conscious participation. The universe can provide guidance, opportunities, and support, but it can't live your life for you. You still need to make choices, take action, learn from mistakes, and continue growing throughout your journey. As we conclude this exploration of cosmic communication, I want to leave you with a challenge. For the next 7 days, commit to paying conscious attention to the signs and synchronicities in your life. Keep a simple journal where you record meaningful coincidences, unexpected encounters, and moments when you felt guided or inspired. At the end of the week, review your notes and look for patterns. What themes keep appearing? What types of opportunities or insights repeatedly present themselves? What is the universe trying to tell you about your next steps or highest potential? More importantly, choose at least one piece of guidance you receive and take action on it, even if it seems small or inconsequential. Notice what happens when you demonstrate trust in the cosmic communication system by responding to its messages. Remember, the universe is always speaking. The question isn't whether you're receiving messages, but whether you're paying enough attention to hear them clearly and respond appropriately. Your willingness to participate in this cosmic conversation could be the key to unlocking levels of fulfillment, purpose, and success that you never imagined possible. The signs are everywhere. The guidance is constant. The only question is whether you're ready to listen. Your cosmic communication journey begins now with your next conscious breath, your next moment of awareness, your next willingness to believe that you're part of something far more magnificent and purposeful than you ever dared to imagine. The universe has been waiting patiently for you to join the conversation. Today could be the day you finally answer the call.